makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio.
We sure do need them. You know, some of us need them more than others. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
Oh, boy, I think I'm ready.
Yeah. You know, buckle up because Jay Murrell's here with us.
Jaybird flew
Hey,
in.
guys.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. She is psychotherapist, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillian, and he is psychotherapist, PLPC Jay Murrell.
Say that again.
Psychotherapist, PLPC Jay Murrell.
My
Doesn't it
wife.
sound good?
My wife, when we were talking, sometimes I'll slide into maybe a counseling. She's, don't you do that to me.
I love it.
I can't help it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's you can take the boy out of you know the
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Imagine when there's two of you in the relationship.
Yeah.
jeez.
I imagine that's something with y'all.
Yeah. Tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, you just have to say, "Oh, shut up."
That's right.
No, actually, we don't do that.
I know.
Yeah.
I've observed.
But you just got what we do a lot, which was laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times we laugh. And, you know, we're going to talk today about getting your life back on track. You know, there's something that is so magical, beautiful, miraculous. It's called the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And it's for everybody.
And it
Yes.
is for everybody. And yeah, they were given originally they're the 12 steps of AA, but once you understand them, they work for all of us,
Yes,
and
they
they
do.
work for everything.
Yes, they
It's a
do.
universal map.
It
you
is.
know,
It is a
for
universal map.
transformation.
It truly is. And so we're gonna today we're gonna really emphasize and look at the first 4 steps because, you know,
That's where the real work happens, right? Well, the
that's-
first.
Well, the 4th
Jay
step
might
is
argue
where
with me.
you know, the real work starts, in my opinion, the 4th step,
Fourth,
but
yeah.
you got to get there.
You
know.
got to get
gotta
there.
You
get
do them in
through the
order,
first
kids.
3, yeah.
Okay.
One step at a time. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies, and we appreciate our sponsors making it possible, the Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, We Train Your Brain, the Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. We're stepping out today here on Strategies for Living. Come back and join us.
Lauren, Jay, and David will find a way to help you out most every day. They help us think healthy and make us smile too. They bring out the strategies just for you. Strategies for Living Radio. Strategies for Living Radio.
And welcome into Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillian, Jay Murrell, David McMillian. You know, guys, it's been a while I'm going to take us back to the 70s. I'm walking the halls of this very radio station.
Yes.
And, in radio back in the 60s and 70s, several people would imbibe. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, yeah? You mean people in radio drank?
Well, and other things, and other stuff.
Other things?
And I kept hearing all over the building references to the big book, the blue book.
Yeah.
And some people would talk about it like it was, just this renowned book of books. So I got curious one day, and I asked my friend Howard, I said, Howard, what are you guys talking about? And this is the 70s.
Yeah.
So he said, give me $5 and I'll bring you one.
Yeah.
And he brought me. It's a prized prized possession today. I still keep it in my office. Mm-hmm. And anyway,
it's well worn.
It is well worn. But I did take it home. Howard brought it to me. I took it home. A couple of days later, I ran into him, and he said, "What'd you think?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have an issue or a problem with alcohol or drugs, but this is a great way to live." And he pointed at me. He said, "You got it." He said,
Yes.
"That's it."
Yes. We've talked about this before, but you and I are both, all three of us are big fans of Carl Jung.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yes.
And Bill, first of all, a guy named Bill Wilson wrote the big book and wrote the 12 steps.
Yep.
And
I think they were downloaded to him myself.
Yeah, I think they were too.
Yeah.
They were inspired.
Yeah.
And, I have seen, first of all, there's a book out now called Carl Jung and Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
And it talks about the formation of the steps. And we don't need to go we'll develop that over the course. I think we're going to do some shows on this.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's about clearing away the wreckage of the past. First of all, making some admissions, clearing away the wreckage of the past and past, and working on your true identity.
Yeah,
getting rid of some stuff.
Yeah, and don't we all need that?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's the privilege, right? That's what Jung said. It's the privilege of a life to become who you truly are.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
God, I wish I'd said that.
Well, Carl did, so you don't have
Carl
to.
said it.
You can steal it.
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
He'll let you.
Yeah.
So we thought we would focus in on, and we may end up doing more, but especially the first 4 steps. It calls to mind the old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins one step at a time. Right?
There you go.
And so, that we all can relate probably to stress in our lives that seems insurmountable.
Well, yeah, because, it's not, Jay mentioned it at the top of the program, it's not about addiction, right? It's about recognizing where we feel out of control in our lives. And we all do that.
Yeah.
Right?
What are the impediments that we all have with some degree or another with discovering who we really are?
Yeah.
They're kind of getting us stuck,
Yeah.
It can be drugs and alcohol. It could be shopping.
Yeah.
It could be sex.
It could be sex.
It could be your phone.
It could be gaming. It could be
yeah.
And we are especially a culture that loves our addictions.
True. The only thing that I would add about as it relates to chemical addiction, drugs, alcohol, whatever, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Is that your life can truly become unmanageable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you got a shopping addiction or some other, you can take the silver cure there. You run out of silver.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the physical effects of drugs and alcohol. It'll kill you. You go 3 ways: sober up, locked up, or covered up.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. So it's more dire.
Yeah, and some people argue through the years when I can think back to programs that I've done about alcoholism and addiction, and how many times that I've made the point. It really fits a medical model.
It's a disease.
It's because it's a disease.
It is that it's a disease.
It has a definite progression to it. There are definite steps to addiction. And once you understand that, you can kind of figure out where I am along the process. It's progressive. And you just said the third one. Ultimately, if you don't check it, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
And so, that fits well the medical model, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can do a show on the disease model of addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we should at some point.
I'm taking notes here.
Are you? So for so many years, certainly before the advent of Alcoholics Anonymous and some really good research on the disease of addiction, people would just go, well, he's got a character defect.
Yeah.
That person they're weak-willed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So often you hear, we call people who aren't. So first of all, full disclosure, I'm in recovery, have been for a pretty long time, and by the grace of God, we hear a lot of times somebody will come into treatment and they'll go, my significant other, my parent, whatever, says, well, why don't you just quit?
Yeah.
And I laugh.
Yeah.
And people that aren't alcoholics or addicts, they can't just quit.
Right.
Yeah.
They need some help.
Yeah,
and that's
support.
where we get into this stuff.
I'm going to tell another radio story. I got a call one day from a colleague who was over me and asked me to meet him. And I did, met him for lunch. And the fella said, I'm going to be gone for a few days. I'm going to white knuckle. I'm going to quit. I got to quit drinking. And I said to him, I've never seen you drunk. And he shook his head. He said, no, David, you've never seen me sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that was
Sobering.
sobering. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So again, the very first step, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. You can put in whatever you want to there.
Yeah.
Powerless over fill in the blank,
Fear,
that our
resentment.
lives had become unmanageable. So, Jay, how can we begin to wrap our minds around unmanageability?
Well, something usually happens.
Yeah.
I call it the just right ass whipping.
Just right ass whipping.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
it
like
works.
it. Yeah.
In my case, it was a fear of loss of a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife said to me the next day after some very inappropriate behavior, you need to let me know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she says there was more to it, but that's all I heard.
Yeah.
She says, because I'm not going to live my life this way.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's different. Maybe it's, the fourth DWI.
Yep.
Maybe it's
almost losing your career or your company or your job.
Right. Your law partners come to you and go, either you go into treatment or you're out of the firm.
Right.
Or whatever the business is.
And it's amazing. It's amazing sometimes the length that some people will go to not to get there. Again, I'm telling radio stories today. There was one fella that I won't mention any names, but there's one fella that lived in a box. And when it rained, he would put it under the carport of the radio station.
Yeah.
True story.
Oh, wow.
True story.
That's want to.
Now he had a big box. He
Yeah,
went and
it was a comfy box.
He got one of those Freeport refrigeration back in the
Sure,
day.
yeah.
The refrigerator boxes. But so it was a big box.
David, it's the only disease that tells you you're not sick. Okay.
Yeah.
And
What do you
so-
mean? Okay. What do you mean by that?
Denial is not a river in Egypt,
Yeah.
but it's real prevalent with addicts.
Yeah.
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 So you have this just right, you know what,
Yeah.
and you finally go, wow, I can't do this anymore. And that is, you're on the road to surrender. You know the difference between surrender and compliance, David?
I know. Tell me.
Okay. Compliance is when you're doing something for somebody else, the judge, your wife,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
Surrender is when you reach the point down to your toenails where you just know, I can't do this anymore.
So that's what step one is about.
Surrender.
Step one is about surrender.
Well, no, actually, step 3. Well, 1, 2, and 3 are kind of, I can't,
Kinda
God
tied
can't.
together,
They are all
yeah.
tied together. I can't, God can, I'll let him. We'll get to 2 and 3 in a little bit, but 1 is that moment of clarity,
yeah.
where you tried everything. You've tried wine instead of whiskey instead of whatever.
Yeah.
And you just realize that you just can't do it. And oftentimes, as I said, there's a motivating factor there, fear of loss or something, or a medical event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You stay after it long enough, and your body will tell the tale.
No question about that. No question. We're talking about the 12 steps today, particularly the first 4, because if you journey of 1,000 miles, one step at a time. Keep coming back, right?
It works if you work it.
Yeah. Oh, we got all the cliches
Yeah, we do.
today.
Yeah, we do.
Got a million of them. We're talking about that today here on Strategies for Living. Jay Murrell, Leon McMillian, David McMillian. Stay with us. Much more to come, much more to talk about. And it's really for all of us. All of us. We'll be back.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there, looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies. Strategies for Living Radio, your dose of radio rehab strategies.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Leon McMillian, David McMillian, Jay Murrell, talking about we're talking about the 12 steps today, and particularly putting our minds and our arms around the 4 steps. I know people, I know some people, I see them out there, shaking their head and saying, this guy can't be telling the truth. A guy living in a box? Yeah, it was a nice box.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just what, and here's the deal. Every single person that I encountered, and I encountered a lot of them in the radio business, every single one was a fantastic human being, which shone forth. And like I said, half the building was going to AA. And so that's the reason I got my first big book, right? And, but it wasn't 100%.
Alcoholics tend to be pretty creative. I mean, there are studies on this. Creative, artistic, even very empathetic. When they're not, drinking or drugging, because all they care about when they're drinking or drugging is drinking and drugging.
Yeah. I wonder if to some degree that's in part because they don't know how to handle that level of creativity and depth that they actually have, maybe, or
maybe they just don't like to live life on life's terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have clients, I'm sure, who one of the primary things that you hope to guide them toward is the ability to getting a pretty strong hum, David.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, the ability to deal with life the way it is.
Right. Yeah. To accept life as it is.
Yeah.
Life on life's terms.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's it's been my experience that a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts just don't want to do that.
Right. So it's about control.
It's about
that
it's
grip.
about
Yeah.
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 So
And that's what step 1 is about.
Yeah,
right?
step 1,
Being
we
able
admitted.
Step 1 is about honesty.
Releasing
Becoming
that
honest.
grip. Yeah.
Yeah, admitted we were powerless
lying
over
to
alcohol.
yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
Because until you admit something, you can't change what you don't admit.
No, and there's a lot of blame. You know, I'm this way because.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just,
And man, we got a lot of becauses.
Yeah, we do. And so, you know, get the focus off me. No, it's not. And you just go, finally, if you focus, you just got to go.
Yeah.
I got difficulties.
Yeah.
So step 2, and you've already made the point. The first 3 steps are related, but step 2, once we've admitted we were powerless in that first step, then the second step is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
So that's about faith. And let me tell you, the people that wrote the guy that wrote that, there was a lot of arguing going on in the recovery community about because prior to AA, there was a group called the Oxford Group. Before that was a group called the Washingtonians.
Right.
Going way back into the 19th century. And a lot of it was based around biblical things, you know, church stuff and faith. And the thought was that there are a whole lot of folks that are turned off by that.
Yeah.
Right.
So what the early founders, first groups in Alcoholics Anonymous figured out, you know, you just have to believe you're not it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a higher
And
power.
there's something bigger than me. Because
yeah.
one thing us Catholic boys learn is the most deadly sin is pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're prideful, can you learn anything?
No,
you can't.
Yeah. I remember a scene from the movie Rudy. Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene where, you know, Rudy wants to go to Notre Dame. He wants to play football for Notre Dame. And he gets into a junior college across the street with some help from some Notre Dame priest. And this is depicted in the movie. If you haven't seen the movie Rudy, you got to see it. But there's a scene where Rudy's got maybe the 4th or 5th rejection letter from Notre Dame, and he's in church and he's kneeling, he's lit a candle, and an old priest mentor of his comes in and he just hands him the letter, and the old priest reads the letter, and he said, you know, I've been a priest for whatever he says, 35 years. He said, there's only 2 things that I know for sure. And one is there is a God, and 2, I'm not him.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. And obviously, surrender, you know, step 2, I believe, is about faith. And we get into step 3, we're going to talk about surrender. But just believing there is a God and I'm not it, right?
Yeah.
Lauren, what are your thoughts?
I think it's also about what we found research-wise over the years they already knew in step 2, which is the idea that addiction, one of the main cures to addiction is connection.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about in step 2 is moving from isolation to connection in whatever form that may be.
Yeah.
What, you know, if you know, that's that higher power language, right? It's about saying there's something beyond me and I can be supported by it.
Very good.
Right.
I honestly have never heard it said better. Good job out of you.
Yeah, and you know, again, AA and the steps truly are respecters of wherever you're at. So
yes,
don't think that you have to believe a certain way, because all beliefs are acceptable and welcome. So a higher power for you could be the collective.
Sure.
Could
and
be,
often it is.
Two heads are better than one. 3 heads are better than 2. On and on.
People will say my higher power was the group.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that works.
Connection, yeah. I mean, I think you could even say something as simple as something greater than my current thinking.
Oh, there you
restore
go.
Me.
Yeah.
Right? It's that, I think it's Einstein.
I like that too, Lauren.
I think it's Einstein who said, you know, you can't get out of your problems with the same
mindset that you got into them.
Yeah, that started it. That created the problem to begin with. Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's that same idea.
And that's the thing, especially about the first 4 steps. Well, really all the steps, but especially the first 4 steps, they get you thinking differently.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
turn what you thought was the way things are kind of upside down, if you will.
Yeah, I've heard it said when someone comes in, and obviously we don't. There's a tradition that says we don't talk about that program
Yeah,
on the radio,
right.
but we're kind of working around it.
Well, you're not.
But-
I am.
Yeah, you're talking about it,
Yeah, I'm talking about it.
right? But
You're safe.
I forgot what I was going to say. It'll come to me.
It'll come. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But
But
you know,
So step 2 is about connection and trust.
it is. It's and
Faith,
about
and faith,
and
faith.
believing there's
Sure.
something bigger than me.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then seeking it, being
Yeah.
willing to seek
Being
that,
open.
being open and willing to move down that
And that
road.
doesn't mean that, I think this happens with most people first along the path. Jay, you can tell me, that you doubt, right? And you run into where you go backwards. And so I think
Yeah.
step 1 and 2 is about the commitment piece, coming back again and again to say,
Yeah.
I do need help. And I'm going to trust that there is something and someone out there that will support me through this evolution.
Yeah, and that's you're really getting into step 3 now,
okay.
which is surrender.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you go, okay, there is something bigger than me, and I'm gonna let that higher power help me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
but there are people I've been told that are in the rooms that are atheists. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, sure.
But they also acknowledge, or agnostics.
Mhm.
They also acknowledge that there's something bigger out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
that-
have all the answers. They don't have it all
That's
figured out.
all you got to do. Is just,
Yeah. Yeah, just give
It is
over
not-
to that.
That program is not church, but it's
No.
very spiritual.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I've heard people say there's spirituality here that I don't find present elsewhere.
I believe it.
Yeah.
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 Well, because what AA invites you into is true spirituality.
Agree.
It's getting to know and meet your own soul and to connect with others, which, I think was perhaps hopefully the original idea behind a lot of religions, but we've just gotten away from it.
Yeah,
It doesn't always bring you into full relationship with who we truly are.
I may get in trouble here. That's okay.
Mhm.
I think there are some religions around that would do well to really take a hard look at AA.
Yeah.
And, I've heard it said, some people would disagree with me, but I've heard it said that, when people look back, AA is still relatively new in terms of history.
Yeah, mid-30s.
Yeah, so it's still relatively new in terms of history. But I've heard people say that when they look back, when history looks back at AA and the beginnings of AA, they're going to say that's the most successful church that has ever been, because it fits the criteria, even though it's not. And it's got a creed, it's got a code, and it's got a cult, just like every religion. So I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't mean to.
That's just the way that you
You're
study
just an
it.
earth person, David.
Now, there you go.
We understand.
Many religions would do well to really take a look at the model of the 12 steps and maybe come to learn.
At the very least, because of its effectiveness, right? That's the last step, is to having had a spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Carry it forward.
As a result of working these steps, we carry the message to others.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're talking
Evangelize.
That's it.
Carry it on. We're talking the 12 steps today, particularly the first 4. So we'll come back and dive into 3 and 4. 4 is a real doozy. We'll talk about that here today on Strategies for Living. Be right back.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies Strategies for living radio.
And welcome back in. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian, Jay Murrell, and talking the 12 steps today, particularly with an emphasis on the first 4 steps. What are you over
I
there?
just want to
What
clean
are you
something.
over there cleaning?
I just want to clean something.
Okay.
You need a rag?
No, I use the word evangelize, and really it's a program of attraction, not promotion.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
If you take it back to the root word of evangelize means to,
I knew
it
you'd know.
means an angel,
Okay.
which means a messenger, which is what I think that
No, I mean,
that what you're saying
you
that
know,
you do, you're messengers.
The guy that started AA was in Towns Hospital which was a recovery thing for about the 14th time, and he prayed. He said, "God, if you're there, please take this from me."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said there was this bright light,
Mm.
and the desire to drink went away, and it never came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the power.
Yeah. And you do that, you keep coming back, and you do it as much as you need to do it.
Yeah.
And the guy that brought me that cherished big book, man, he would do okay for a while, and then he'd fall off. Then he'd do okay, and he'd fall off. He finally got sober, and the last 30 years of his life were sober.
Yeah.
But the way he had to do it was check himself into a place that said, "You're not going till we say you're ready."
Yeah,
And
there's that.
and then there's that. It was kind of a last resort, but it worked. It worked for
and
him.
I mean, it just there's a lot of relapse.
Yeah.
It's part of the process, right?
To quote a sponsor of mine, Jock Hurley said, "Well, drunks drink."
There you go. There you go. And there's some old timers that would say you're not fully in recovery unless you've had the experience of falling off and climbing back on. Now, I don't know. That could. Some people debate that.
A lot of people never relapse. I mean, there's another humorous, dark humor as well. They were still thirsty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it takes what it takes until you get your just right. You know what?
Absolutely. Yeah. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God.
That's surrender.
Yeah. Yeah. So you summarized at the beginning of the show. You summarized the 4 steps in just a few words.
Well, the first 3, I can't, God can, I'll let him.
Okay.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
God can.
God can.
I'll let him.
What a summary.
And that I'll let him is surrender. You know, and we talked about the difference between compliance and surrender. And surrender is a complete admission that I can't do this.
Yeah.
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 So why, Jay? I mean, anybody that's been around even the periphery of a 12-step program, you hear them talking about, the 4th step.
It's tough. That's the first 3 steps are they're an intellectual exercise.
Yeah.
On some level.
Yeah.
4th step is where you got to go to work. And the 4th step is made a searching and fearless moral inventory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you write it down. Jung said it's important to have that ocular presence
Yeah.
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 of seeing the words you wrote on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And that is hard
Yeah.
for most folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me, you ready? So I was in New Orleans. That's where I sobered up. And
Yep.
I was with my first sponsor.
Yep.
Great guy. He's gone now. I remember we were on the down on the riverfront, and we'd had a great lunch, and we were just talking, and he knew me, and he knew me pretty well. And I said, "Charles, I just don't feel like I'm getting it. I kind of just feel kind of restless, irritable, and discontent."
Yeah.
And he said, and so I've been sober 2.5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jay, maybe it's time for you to do a 4th step.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I cussed him. I said, I guess
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
You just, how much pain do you want to take?
Yeah.
before you get on with it.
Yeah.
And again, let's go to the fifth step, because if people aren't aware, the fifth step is admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. But you can't get there without.
You got to look in the mirror first.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
pretty
what
much.
step,
That fourth
that's what
step.
step 4 is.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's look in the mirror, but also to truly make a list of what we've done that wasn't right.
Yeah.
We all, unless we're sociopaths, we all got a conscience, right?
Yeah.
So we know what we did wrong,
Yeah.
and we
But
got
we don't want to write it down,
But
because
we-
that'll make it real, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And that, actually, in my own experience, I've heard others say this as well. Once I started writing, it started really flowing,
Yeah.
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 It was ready. You just
Yeah.
just had to open it. Open
and
the
it was
can.
liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got this down finally.
So, and think of it this way: that stuff is in you,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know. And
It's
what?
a big garbage can
Yeah.
with
What
a lot
happens?
of real stinky stuff.
Yeah. And what happens when you eat a bad meal and you try to keep it down? I mean, what's going to happen?
Yikes.
Okay, so we can all use our imagination,
No
Yeah.
thanks.
right? So the fourth step is, and maybe that's why it's so difficult, because if you eat something bad, you do want to keep.
Well, you just
know,
want to talk about what you ate bad.
right?
You want to talk about what you did
Yeah,
and what maybe even what you thought.
yeah,
Sins of omission and commission.
yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to zoom ahead for a second to that fifth step. Why have I got to tell somebody? I mean, the fifth, you have this fearless moral inventory of ourselves, and then admit to God. Okay, that's pretty easy. But then admit to ourselves, maybe not so easy, and another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. That gets some people. Why do I have to do that?
All right, David, what do you think?
Well, because it makes it real.
Okay.
You hear it. It comes out. In the Catholic tradition, there's a sacrament called the sacrament of penance or reconciliation.
I think it's a core part of what we all do
Yeah.
in the counseling room. I think that's a part of it, is
Yeah.
being there and being able to witness that for somebody else.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same deal.
I don't think you two give absolution, but you do. I'm sure you have had the experience already of somebody coming in and letting it all out.
Yeah.
And as they walk out the room,
They feel better.
You may be saying, well, I didn't do a lot. I just listened. But they say, I feel so much better.
They got it out.
Yeah.
Well, and to have another human being hear and witness without the shame that you're feeling, right?
Yeah, the
shame
judgment
or the
and
guilt
shame.
judgment.
Yeah.
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 I'm not a priest, but I will say this. In the Catholic Church, the seal of the confessional is absolute.
Right.
And
No breaking it.
No breaking it.
Yeah.
And there are some pretty bad consequences for a priest.
Yeah.
But also, I've heard it said that from the pulpit, I've heard it all, so don't worry.
Yeah.
So I've listened to some fifth steps.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and listen, and you go, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. We're human.
Yeah.
We're just okay.
Yeah.
And we're messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. 12 steps. And we're emphasizing the first 4 or 5 today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. And welcome back in. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, Jay Murrell, David McMillian. Been looking at the 12 steps today, and specifically the first 4 or 5 steps.
You keep making it longer and longer.
Well, they're good.
You keep it. Yeah, you keep adding,
Yeah.
and that's the way they are.
That's how they work, huh?
That's how they work. And I would encourage everybody, if you've never looked at the 12 steps, really looked at them.
Yeah.
Easy to find online.
Oh, yeah.
Get them and take a look at. You don't need a big book. You just go online, put in the 12 steps of AA. You'll get them. You'll get them
They'll
there.
pop up.
What's y'all's takeaway from what we've talked about today?
Lauren?
Oh, well, I think the 12 steps are an elegant process, right? And it's not about fixing yourself so much as coming back to who you are. It's in line with Jung, right? It's about the past.
I think it's about discovering who you are.
yeah.
Yeah, coming back.
Coming
Because
back home.
Yeah.
you've worn this mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this thing that, and then you've been anesthetized.
It's
and
very prodigal son.
yeah,
It really is.
Yeah.
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 I like that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming back
I need to
home.
come around here more often because I get a lot of good stuff from her.
Yeah, you
Come
know, to bring your notebook, take notes. I do, you know.
Yeah.
Jay, thank you.
Thank
Sure,
you, Jay.
Dave. Thanks.
And
Can I
Lauren,
come back
you-
next
Of
week?
course.
Absolutely, you can come back. We're counting on it, and proud of the work that you're doing already
Yeah.
as a PLPC. That sounds good. Jay Murrell, PLPC.
Yeah.
I like it. Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies for Living. And we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
And Learning RX. We train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center. Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather. Alligator Italian Sausage, pretty good muffies too. SRT, Sales Training. Uprising, Addiction Center. And Mira, Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillian, for Jay Murrell, I'm David McMillian. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.